How's it going, everybody? I am back again with some more Magic. We have a new set release today with Tarkir Dragonstorm, so I'm going to start off the set like I do with most and do a pack opening video today. With the leftover currency I had from the previous set, I managed to get 51 packs of Tarkir, and that gave me 4 packs of these gold packs. So we got 55 packs I'm going to be going through today. I know these aren't the most popular videos, but it's a really good way for me to familiarize myself with a lot of the new cards, more than just what I've seen other content creators running and highlighting. So I like to start off each set with this and just kind of look it over all the cards, see what I think of them. And this is a good way to just check out my luck too, because I don't usually get super lucky with most of my pack openings. But we'll start with the first 10 here. I'll try and go as fast as possible, but I'm going to be reading over most of the cards, so hopefully you guys like checking them out with me. Alright, so I am going to back it up here. All these cards are essentially new to me, so I like checking out the commons, uncommons, all of it. Okay, so we do have lands here, Scoured Barrens. These look like reprints of all of the Gain 1 Life lands, so that's interesting to see being reprinted. I've seen this card being good in drafts for mana fixing. Dragon's Prey I've seen being used just a little bit too. The spell costs 2 less to cast, or 2 more to cast if it targets a dragon. Interesting. Okay. Destroy target creature for 3, or it's a 5 cost if you target a dragon. So that seems kind of terrible as far as removal, because we still have good removal from previous sets. Not a big fan of Dragon's Prey. I could see why you would use it potentially in a draft as just removal, but dragons are going to be pretty prominent in this deck, obviously. Even a lot of the commons and stuff are going to be dragons. 5-drop 3/3 with flying and vigilance. Whenever this creature attacks, surveil 1. I think that's pretty bad for a 5-drop. I have seen this card getting used. Let's look at it real quick. Oh, looks like I'm lagging just a bit. Alright, so we got Feral Deathgorger. It is a 6-drop 3/5 with flying and death touch. When this creature enters, exile up to 2 target cards from a single graveyard. So pretty expensive, but I can see how that's usable, especially when you have the Omen half, where you can pay 2 for Dusk Sight and put a 1/1 counter on up to 1 target creature and draw a card. I think Death Sight's going to be your main purpose for this, and then late game potentially having that dragon. I can see where that's useful if you're building a dragon deck, so that explains why I've been seeing it. Roaring Strike or Ringing Strike Masteries, 1-drop enchant creature. Whenever this aura enters, tap enchanted creature. So this is a tap down your opponent's creature kind of thing. Seize opportunity. Exile the top 2 cards of your library until the end of your next turn. You may play those cards. It is an instant, so you'd ideally want to do this on your opponent's turn. And then it also has up to 2 target creatures. Each get +2/+1 until end of turn. Okay, so it could be a combat trick or a way for you to get additional plays on your turn. Mardu Devotee is a 1-drop 1/2, and when this creature enters, scry. And then it has a pay 1 and add, so you can convert mana with it. Interesting. I know this set's going to be really heavily incentivizing like 3 colors and stuff like that, so I can see where having a mana converter might be useful, but it'd be nicer if it could just tap for that mana instead of still charging you for it. Jadecast Sentinels 4-drop 1/5 with reach. Interesting. We've got another dragon here. 5-drop 3/3 with flying, and when this creature enters, you gain 3 life. Doesn't sound great on its own, but then the Omen is a 1-drop. Search your library for a basic land card, reveal it, and put it into your hand, then shuffle. Obviously, this would be really, really powerful if it was put onto the battlefield and then shuffle, but either way, I can see where you would want this if you're playing green and need mana fixing or ramp. Narset's Rebuke deals 5 damage to target creature and adds blue, red, and white. If the creature would die this turn, exile it instead. I actually think this is pretty good, despite how expensive it is, because it gives you a refund on mana, and can help you mana fix a little bit on that turn for something that is still in those colors to allow you to double spell. So that's pretty interesting. We got Worthy Cost. 1 drop as an additional cost to cast this spell. Sacrifice a creature, exile target creature or planeswalker. So this is a reprint essentially of Eaten Alive. Obviously, Eaten Alive allows you to pay 5 or pay 4 in additional to the 1 instead of sacrificing a creature. But I actually still think this is going to be a pretty used card in sacrifice-themed decks. It would be nice if you could sacrifice like artifact or enchantment with it, but I guess that already exists quite a bit. So, but still an interesting card to see. Sandskitter Outrider is a 2/1 for 4 menace. When this creature enters, it endures. So you get endures 2. So let me see. Put 2/1/1 counters on this creature and create a 2/2 creature token. So that's pretty good actually for 4. Even without the endure, you would still be getting the 2 creatures, and this actually makes this one bigger, I think is what it's describing. I don't fully understand endure yet, but this seems better than it looks at a glance. We got Reigning Victor. Is a 3/3 for presumably 3, or you could make it more expensive if you don't have the right color, which is interesting. I've not seen that kind of mana option before. It's got Mobilize. Whenever this creature attacks, create a tapped and attacking 1/1 red creature token, and you have to sacrifice it at the beginning of your next end step. When this creature enters, target creature gets +1/+0 and gains indestructible till end of turn. So actually seems fairly interesting. A unique combat trick ability on it, along with the Mobilize ability. It doesn't have haste, so you're not going to be getting that 1/1 creature on the turn that you play it. But for potentially a 3-drop with a 3/3 that creates 1/1s, I could see this being useful, even just for the ability to make your creatures indestructible. It lets you get in an attack that you might not otherwise be able to. I don't think it's going to be the greatest card, because it is a 3-drop, and it seems like a lot of these cards are pretty expensive so far, but it's interesting. Abzan Devotee, 2-drop Dog Cleric. It's a 2/1 with that same mana conversion ability, and then you can pay 3 to return this card from your graveyard to your hand. Seems pretty expensive. It's a 2-cost Devotee with a 3-cost return it from the graveyard to your hand. So this would be potentially something decent in a draft, I imagine, but I don't know that you'd want to run it in Standard. Watcher of the Wayside. When this creature enters, target player mills 2 cards and you gain 2 life. That's interesting. I've seen this one used a little bit. It is a 6-cost, which is pretty expensive. This spell costs 1 less to cast for each creature you control, so that's pretty good. I could see where that would be usable then. And then when this creature enters, draw a card. This could potentially then be really good in a populate style deck. Maybe something running a whole bunch of little creatures and then also up the beanstalk, because it is such an expensive original mana cost. It'll give you card draw on top of that, so that's interesting. Seize Opportunity. Did I already look at this one? Yeah, okay. I did, and we looked at Dragon's Prey. We got Caustic Exhale. It's a 1-drop instant. As an additional cost to cast the spell, behold a dragon or pay 1. So if you don't have a dragon to behold, it would be a 2-cost. If you do have a dragon to behold, which could be either on the battlefield or in your hand, so that's interesting. Target creature gets -3/-3 until end of turn. That's pretty good. I could actually see this being run quite a bit, because -3/-3 is pretty strong. Rescue Leopard. I've seen this used a little bit. It is a 3-cost 4/2. Whenever this creature becomes tapped, you may discard a card if you do draw a card. That's going to be pretty popular because the discard draw decks are fairly popular right now, so this could be used in a lot of those. Again, it is pretty expensive as a 3-drop, and as a 4/2, it's not the most amazing thing ever. Definitely could be useful in a draft or something, though, too. So this set seems like it's pretty draft-friendly. I like that. Ice Ridge Serpent is a 6-drop 3/3 Serpent. When this creature enters, return target creature an opponent controls to its owner's hand. I think that's pretty bad. There's a lot better bounce effects, and it's only a 3/3 for 5, which is pretty expensive. Not entirely sure how to say it, but Anak Wayfarer, I think. Let's see, is a 2-drop 1/1 Dog Scout. When this creature enters, mill 3 cards. You may put a land card from among them into your hand. If you don't, put a 1/1 counter on this creature. So at best, it would be a 2-drop 2/2. or a 1/1 that gets you a land for free while milling you. I could see this potentially being used in a self-mill deck, but I still think a 2-drop's kind of bad for this. Aggressive Negotiations. We've got a 3-drop sorcery. Target opponent reveals their hand. You choose a non-land card from it and exile that card, and then put a 1/1 counter on up to 1 target creature you control. I don't really like this. I do like that it has the added benefit of putting the 1/1 counter on one of your creatures, but at a 3-drop, I just don't think it's that good. If you're playing an efficient discard deck, your opponent's not going to be really having cards to discard when you're at 3 mana. So yeah, not a big fan of that. Undergrowth Leopard, 2-drop 2/2, Vigilant, sacrifice this creature, destroy target artifact or enchantment. I actually think this one's good. 2-drop 2/2 with Vigilance and a way to destroy enchantments or artifacts your opponent controls. This is actually a pretty good card in my opinion. I could see this being used like a Haywire might potentially. Teamer Devotee is a 2-drop 3/3 with Defender that has the mana conversion ability. I think this is one of the better Devotees in my opinion out of what I've seen so far. It is a 2-cost, which is still a little pricey considering we did see a 1-cost one earlier, but it is a 3/3 with Defender, and the mana conversion doesn't require it to be tapped, so it gives you a good enough body blocker for 2 mana that I think it's worth it. Twin Bolt. Twin Bolt deals 2 damage divided as you choose among 1 or 2 creatures or targets. So you could hit players or planeswalkers or creatures with this. It is only 2 damage though, being divided. So it's good if you're up against something with a lot of 1/1s or a lot of things with 1 power toughness. However, you're still only getting 2 out of it, so I don't think it's great. You'd be better off just running a 1-drop deal 2 damage to 1 target thing in most situations. But I could see some benefit to it, but I just don't think it's quite there. Temur Tawnyback, similar to the red, black, white one we saw earlier, is a 3-drop potentially 4/3. When this creature enters, draw a card, then discard a card. This one's not that bad. It starts off as a 4/3, which is pretty nice. The fact that it could potentially be more expensive than a 3-drop kind of sucks, but the ability's not terrible either. So this one's pretty interesting. And it says when this creature enters, draw a card, then discard a card. So it means if your hand's empty, you'll be drawing that card and discarding that card. No option otherwise. Like, for example, if you're looking at Fear of Missing Out, it says discard a card, then draw a card, so you can do it on an empty hand to get a +1 card for nothing. This would not have that same ability, which kind of sucks. Got another one of them over here. Let's see what we got here. Highspire Bellringer is a 1/4 for 3 with flying. The second spell you cast each turn costs 1 less to cast. This could potentially be good. I know a lot of decks right now, or a lot of cards right now, are going to have that ability that lets you do something additional when you cast your second spell each turn, so your second spell being made cheaper could be potentially useful. Dragon Lancer, or Dragonback Lancer. It is a 3/3 for 4 with flying and mobilize 1, creating the 1/1 whenever it attacks. Rescue Leopard again, seize opportunity again. Bone Cairn Butcher. Interesting. So this is a Mardu Demon. So 4/4 with mobilize 2, attacking tokens you control have Death Touch. That's pretty cool. It's because not only does it give all of your tokens Death Touch potentially when they're attacking, but it also creates 2 tokens whenever it attacks. So that's not terrible, and it's a 4-drop 4/4, which isn't completely terrible. It's doable. Venerated Stormsinger is an Orc Cleric 3/3 for 4 with mobilize 1, and whenever this creature or another creature you control dies, each opponent loses 1 life and you gain 1 life. I feel like this is slightly expensive for that ability, but it is interesting. It fits in that mobilize category. Reverberating Summons is a 2-drop enchantment at the beginning of each combat. If you cast 2 or more spells this turn, this enchantment becomes a 3/3 monk creature with haste in addition to its other types until end of turn, and you can pay 2 and discard your hand, then sacrifice the enchantment to draw 2 cards. That could be potentially useful if you're on empty, allowing you to just refill your hand for sacrificing the enchantment and paying 2. I don't think turning into the 3/3 monk with haste is going to be super useful all the time, but Maybe if you're in a good board advantage against your opponent, it could be useful. We got Ython Tomb Guard. It is a 3-drop 2/3 with Menace. Whenever a creature you control with a counter on it deals combat damage to a player, you draw a card and lose 1 life. So it's got an interesting draw effect attached to it, and obviously there is a lot to be said for 1/1 counter options in this set. But I'm not the biggest fan of this one. Mystic Monastery, this land enters tapped and can be used for blue, red, or white. So I can see this is one of the tri-lands they've got going on right now. I don't like that all of them seem to enter tapped, but what can you do? River Wheel Sweep, this is another one of those 3-cost or potentially more expensive cards. This one's a sorcery, though, instead of a creature. Tap target creature, put 3 stun counters on it, exile the top 2 cards of your library, choose one of them, and until the end of your next turn you may play that card. So that's interesting. It does at least stun whatever you target for multiple turns. It does eventually become untapped, though. But it does draw you into more cards potentially for you to play, so this doesn't seem terrible. We've got Bewildering Blizzard, very expensive at 7 cost, is that right? 4, but no, 6 cost. Draw 3 cards, creatures your opponent controls gets -3, -0 until end of turn. I'll be honest, you're probably still better off just playing Aetherize unless you're really, really wanting that card draw. This thing being a 7-drop is kind of ridiculous. Rainveil Rejuvenators, a 4-drop 2/4. When this creature enters, you may mill 3 cards, or you can tap it to add add an amount of green equal to this creature's power. So you can tap it for 2 green regardless, and if you have a way of making this stronger, it can be tapped for even more. So that's actually pretty cool. As a 4-drop, it's kind of expensive, but this could be used to ramp really efficiently potentially. Nomad Outpost, so this is the Mardu version of the Tri-Land, which is pretty cool. Dragonstorm Forecaster is a 1-drop 0/3, which actually is pretty good in my opinion to begin with, and you can pay 2 and tap it to search your library for a card named Dragonstorm Globe or Boulder Dragon. Reveal it, put it into your hand, then shuffle. I actually think this card's pretty decent. A 1-drop 0/3 is not terrible. It gets a good body out there on turn 1 for you, and if you're playing something that's using Dragonstorm Globe or Boulderborn Dragon, then this might be actually really good. Synchronized Charge, 2-drop sorcery, distribute 2 1/1 counters among 1 or 2 creatures you control. Creatures you control with counters on them gain Vigilance and Trample until end of turn. And it has Harmonize. You may cast this card from your graveyard for 5. You may tap a creature you control to reduce that cost by X, where X is that creature's power, then exile this spell. So that's actually really interesting. I hadn't looked too much at Harmonize yet, so I didn't know how it worked. But that's very interesting. It goes off the creature's power that you tap. So that's pretty interesting. We got Purging Stormblood, or Stormbrood. Is a 5-cost 4/4, which is acceptable. It has flying and ward, pay 2 life. When this creature enters, remove all counters for up to 1 target creature. I could see this being decent. Even just for its 5 cost, imagine if your opponent has a Archfiend of the Dross or something out on the battlefield. You could play this dragon and immediately win from removing the counters from the Archfiend. And then it has an Omen half, absorb Essence for 1 white and 1. Target creature gets +2/+2 and gains lifelink and hexproof until end of turn. So it has the ability to potentially protect your creature, give it lifelink to help you gain more life. It gets +2/+2 on top of that, so you're getting even more life. I actually really like this. This seems like a pretty good Omen dragon. Equilibrium Adept is a 4-cost 2/4. When this creature enters, exile the top card of your library until the end of your next turn. You may play that card Flurry whenever you cast your second spell each turn. This creature gains double strike until end of turn. I don't think double strike is super useful on this, and it's a 4-cost, so I don't love this. It might be useful in a draft situation potentially, but I don't think this is going to be a really fantastic run in every deck kind of thing. Got Fleeting Effigy, a 1-drop 2/2 with haste, which already sounds really, really good on its own. At the beginning of your end step, return this creature to its owner's hand. Okay, and then so that's like that Ronin card we had a while back that cycled out that was a 1-drop 2/2 that would go back to your hand at the end step. So very interesting, and you can use 3 mana. This creature gets +2/+0 until end of turn. I don't think this is fantastic per se, but it is really good. A 1-drop 2/2 for haste that really dodges a lot of removal is pretty interesting. Not as good as the Ronin, because if I'm not mistaken, the Ronin was an artifact, so this will be still targetable with stuff like Go for the Throat. But if people are wasting their Go for the Throat on a 1-drop 2/2 that's got a recurring annoyance to it, that's really good. So I actually really like this card. This card's very potentially useful. We've got Karakik Guardian. I don't know if I said that right, but that's a weird name. So it is a 6-drop 6/5 with flying, vigilance, and trample, and this creature has hexproof if it hasn't dealt damage yet. So if you haven't attacked with it yet, it has hexproof. It says hasn't dealt damage yet, meaning I assume that means it loses hexproof if it deals damage to creatures or opponents or planeswalkers. So if you've used it to block or attack in any means, it loses that hexproof, I believe, if I'm understanding that wording correctly. But it's still interesting. It's kind of expensive, but it's definitely something. We got Rakshasa's Bargain. It's potentially a 3-cost again. This one's an instant. Look at the top 4 cards of your library. Put 2 of them into your hand and the rest into the graveyard. So, interesting. Again, kind of expensive for that ability, but I could definitely see this one being used at least. We've got another tricolor land for black, green, and blue. We got Dragon Sniper, a 1-drop 1/1 with Vigilance, Reach, and Death Touch. Actually, pretty good. Really, really pretty good. The Reach and Death Touch makes this pretty fantastic, and as of 1/1, it's going to be really annoying for your opponent to have to use their removal on it. Instead of using it on something else. Obviously, cut down still available in this format and everything, so this will be a very frequent cut down target, I'm sure. But yeah, this actually is a really good card, I think. All right, we are in our rares now. Let's start flipping those. Black, green, and white, Revival of the Ancestors. Create 3 1/1 white spirit tokens. Distribute 3 1/1 counters among 1, 2, or 3 creatures you control, and creatures you control gain trample and lifelink until end of turn. So I've seen this one used. This is a pretty interesting card. We've got Kotis the Fangkeeper. Is a black, green, and blue, and then 1 cost, so 4 cost 2/1. It does have Indestructible, is a zombie warrior legendary creature. Whenever Kotis deals combat damage to a player, exile the top X cards of their library, where X is the amount of damage dealt. You may cast any number of spells with mana value X or less among them without paying their mana cost. So, potentially lets you mill 2 off of your opponent, unless you pump this creature up in some way. Which you could easily do. Like I said, it's a zombie. There's a lot of zombie synergistic stuff right now. And then anything that has mana value of X or less, X being this creature's power, essentially, or how much damage this creature dealt. So, interesting. Seems a little weird to work around, and is a very weak creature, obviously, too. But, like I said, with the zombie synergies, if you play it into the zombie synergies, you could probably make this pretty useful. I think it's a little weird. I don't love the 4 cost for a 2/1, but it's something. We've got Quarry Mountain Monastery. Land enters tapped unless you control a plains or an island. Interesting. You can tap it for red, or you can pay for, exile the top card of your library until end of turn. End of your next turn, you may play that card. It doesn't require you to sacrifice the monastery to do that, so that's somewhat interesting. But it requires you to have blue or white. No. Yeah. In your deck to play with this entering untapped. That's really interesting. I don't know how I feel about that. I haven't seen these lands yet. Here's another one. Great Arashan City. Enters tapped unless you have a forest or a plains. So, interesting. It can tap for black mana, or you can pay 2 and tap it to exile target creature card from your graveyard and create a 1/1 white spirit creature token. So this could be interesting in self-mill decks and stuff like that, potentially, obviously. Putting this in a Roots deck would make a lot of sense, in my opinion. because this gives you a land that gives you the ability to pull creatures out of your graveyard. So then you'd get the 1/1 white spirit token along with the plant token you'd get from roots. This is a very interesting land in my opinion. Songcrafter Mage, green, blue, and red, a 3/2 human bard with flash. When this creature enters, target instant or sorcery card in your graveyard gains harmonize until end of turn. If the harmonized cost is equal, then the harmonized cost is equal to its mana cost. So that's interesting. You play it for 3, potentially even with flash on your opponent's turn, and it lets you recast an instant or sorcery card from your graveyard with Harmonize, and the Harmonize cost is not more than its original mana cost, so this could be a really, really good card, actually. Sage of the Skies, a 3-cost 2/3 human monk. When you cast this spell, if you have cast another spell this turn, copy this spell. It has flying and lifelink. I have seen this card being used, and it looks really good. Getting 2/2/3 flyers with lifelink on the turn that you cast it, as long as you cast something else, and you can very easily just stack this with something like a shock or something like that to make it a 4-cost for 2/3 flying lifelink bodies. This is a really good card. Herd Heirloom is a 2-cost artifact, which is interesting on its own. Add 1 mana of any color, spend this mana only to cast a creature spell. Interesting. And until end of turn, target creature you control with power 4 or greater gains trample. And whenever this creature deals combat damage to a player, draw a card. So this seems really interesting. Very good in green. I can see why that's the colored scheme for it. I don't have anything immediately off the top of my head that goes great with this, but I could see it really good in many green decks that synergize with 1/1 counters, potentially even landfall decks, things like that. Things that would run like Bristly Bill, the Ornery Tumblewag, the Hydra that gets bigger off of landfall. This would be really good in that deck to potentially give things other than the Hydra trample, because really your Hydra is the only thing that has it in that deck, so if it dies you lose a lot of your efficacy. This could help with that. Thunder of Unity, this is the Mardu enchantment. It says, let's see, first ability, you draw 2 cards and you lose 2 life. Not bad. Whenever a creature you control enters this turn, each opponent loses 1 life and you gain 1 life. Not amazing, especially not for a 3-drop, but it does... Let's see, it doesn't only happen once. So if you have a lot of creatures entering on your turn, this could be really good on the turn 2 or turn 3 ability, and it is only a 3-drop. So actually I can see this being really good, because I know Mardu right now is very heavy in the mobilize stuff, the populating stuff. Not to mention the new Elspeth. So I could actually see this being a really obnoxious card. You'd lose a little bit of life on turn 1 to get some extra reload on your hand, which is good. And then after that, all of your creatures entering, which potentially could be a lot of creatures, ping your opponent, because I've already seen people running like the type of cards where it's like ping your opponent for 1 when a creature enters and you gain 1 or otherwise. So this actually looks a lot better than I thought at first, because it's not just on that first time it enters per turn. It's every creature that enters on those turns where this 2 and 3 ability trigger. Got a Mythic Wild card and Kishla Village, which is another interesting land. This land enters tapped unless you control an island or a swamp. And it has pay 3 and tap to surveil for 2. I don't like this one nearly as much as I do the black one over here, but surveil's nice. This seems more useful in a green-blue type of deck than in a like black-green option. But surveil's not bad, so this has some value to it for sure. Okay, there's our first pack, or 10 packs open. Let's go to the next. Alright, we got a lot more new cards here, getting more of the gain 1 life lands. Bearer of Glory, 2-drop 2/1 during your turn. This creature has first strike, which isn't bad. That gives it a lot more survivability as a 2/1 than it would have otherwise. And you can pay 5 creatures you control get +1/+1 until end of turn. As a 5-cost mana dump, I don't love it, because you're not going to be doing that multiple times in a turn realistically. So I don't love its secondary ability. This is just a common though, but a 2-drop 2/1 with first strike on your turn isn't terrible. We've got an enchantment here. Enchanted creature gets +1/+1 and has flying. That's pretty good. I could see that being used in those really annoying Esper decks. The ones that play off of enchantments and bouncing things. This would probably be usable in that. Alesha's Legacy, 2-drop instant. Target creature you control gains Death Touch and Indestructible until end of turn. That's not bad. That's actually pretty interesting. The Indestructible and Death Touch could be a really good combat trick, especially in drafts. We got Riverwalk Technique, 4-drop instant. The owner of target non-land permanent puts it on their choice of the top or bottom of their library and counter target non-creature spell. I mean, it's a 4-drop counter, which is really expensive. I don't think I love this, to be honest. Snakeskin Veil got reprinted. This art looks nice, though. So, I mean, yeah, I would probably use this over the other art. Nightblade Brigade. Got a 3-drop 1/3 with Death Touch and Mobilize. When this creature enters Surveilled 1. Not terrible. A 3-drop 1/3 is kind of terrible, but Death Touch and Mobilize makes it interesting. Fortress Kinguard is a 2-drop 1/2. When this creature enters, it endures for 1, so you get a 1/1 spirit creature token along with it. 2-drop for a 2/3 in power and toughness, essentially, is not terrible. So this is somewhat usable, I guess. We've got Champion of Dusan, is a 3-drop 4/2 with Trample, which is something. Then it has Renew for 2, exile this card from your graveyard, put a 1/1 counter on, and a Trample counter on target creature. You can activate it only as a sorcery. I could see this being used in a Roots deck, or something like that, some kind of self-mill deck, because it has that Renew ability, which is actually pretty fantastic, and is cheaper than the original creature. And it gives Trample to whatever you put it on, which on a Roots deck is really good, because you can sometimes get really large tokens that just can't attack in because they have blockers. Got, let's see, Reputable Merchant. Creature 1/1 Human Citizen, despite there being a turtle on the art too, is a 2/2 for potentially 3 mana. When this creature enters or dies, put a 1/1 counter on target creature you control. That one's really interesting. I could see this one being used more than some of the others. It still potentially is really expensive, which I don't like about it, and you're still, even for 3, only getting a 2/2 creature, but you're potentially getting 1/1 counters on things when it enters and when it dies, so I can see some decent value in this one at least. Got a 4-cost 3/3 with Prowess. When this creature enters, create a treasure token. It's kind of expensive. I could see it being used with the new Sibsik card, the black one that kills its own creature thing, so you get the treasure along with blowing up the creature right away. It has Prowess. I don't know, there's some value to the creature itself too, which makes it less useful in Sibsik for me. But I don't know. I don't know how I feel about this one as a whole. There are a lot better treasure generators than this. Dragonstorm Globe. We mentioned this earlier off of that one Acolyte, or whatever. The 1-drop blue card that said it could fetch this. So it's a 3-drop. Each dragon you control enters with an additional 1/1 counter on it, and it can be used for any color of mana. So this actually seems pretty good. Especially for a common, I think this is a decent card. Humbling Elders, a 1-drop 1/2 with Flash. When this creature enters, target creature an opponent controls gets -2/-0 until end of turn. So this is a really, really good ambush creature, especially as a 1-drop. I think this is pretty decent. We've got another Omen Dragon. This one's Durgar Island Dragon, is a 6-cost 4/4 flying with Ward 2, which isn't terrible. It's pretty expensive, obviously, but most dragons will be. Then you've got Skimming Strike for the 1 and blue. Tap up to 1 target creature and draw a card. I think the Omen's totally playable on this, and if you're playing dragons, if you're playing an Omen Dragon deck, you're going to be using a lot of the Omen abilities, the cheap abilities, early to try and stall until you have the mana to play the dragon. So I don't think the expensive dragon cost is going to be bad, and the Ward 2 on this is really nice on its own. Got Bearer of Glory, a 2-drop 2/1 during your turn. This creature has first strike, which I already said was really good. This may be the same thing. Yeah, this is the same creature I looked over with that ability earlier. So let's see. Riverwalk Technique. This is that counter spell I didn't really like. Cruel Truce, 4-drop instant, surveil 2, then draw 2 cards and you lose 2 life. I don't think this is terrible, except that it's a 4 cost. I think the abilities are great. Surveil 2, then draw 2 is fantastic. Losing 2 life makes sense on it as a black card, but at a 4 cost, I think that's a lot. So I don't know about it. We've got Sagu Pummeler, a 4-cost 4/4 with Reach and Renew. Exile this card from your graveyard, put 2 1/1 counters and a Reach counter on target creature. Activate only as a sorcery. I think this is a pretty decent card. Again, these Renew cards I think would just be fantastic for Roots decks and things like that. This one is a much more expensive Renew cost than the previous ones we've seen, so I would keep that in mind. But I do think that any of these Renew cards are going to be fantastic in Roots decks. So, and I like making Roots decks, so there's a good chance I may play around with a lot of these. We've got Fire Rim Form, 2-drop, Flash Enchantment Aura. Enchant creature. When this aura enters, enchanted creature gains first strike until end of turn, and gets +2/+0. Pretty good. Obviously going to be good in a Boros enchantment style of deck or something along those lines. So I can see this being a fun combat trick, a good enchantment if you're already playing that little 1/1 white creature that does enchantment stuff. So yeah, I could see this being played. Maybe not over other things that already currently exist, but this seems good. Riverwalk Technique again. Garmig Nightwatch. I'm not entirely sure how to pronounce that, but it's a 3/3 for potentially 3. When this creature enters, look at the top 3 cards of your library. You may put one of those cards back on top of your library, put the rest into your graveyard. I don't like this one. I would rather put something into my hand than put something back on the top of my library. It's potentially useful as like a self-mill mechanic, but I just don't like this one. Give me just a moment, I'm going to take a drink. I'm going to totally lose my voice by the end of this. Got another Rim form. We've got Osseous Exhale, a 2-drop instant. As an additional cost to cast the spell, you may behold a dragon. Osseous Exhale deals 5 damage to target attacking or blocking creature, and if a dragon was beheld, you gain 2 life. This one's really great. It's only a 2-drop. It deals 5 damage to an attacking or blocking creature, so that's actually really decent. Hits a lot of stuff. And if you have a dragon to behold already on the battlefield or in your hand, you just gain life off of it for free. I like this a lot. This is really good. Arashin Sunshield. We've got a 4-drop 3/4. When this creature enters, exile up to 2 target cards from a single graveyard. So a lot of graveyard hate. A 1-drop tap target creature. A 1-drop tap and tap it itself. Could be useful. You're basically taking it out of the equation as a blocker, but doing so you also can tap down what it would block potentially, so interesting. It gives it kind of better block utility than just blocking itself, because you could tap down something that's flying, or tap down something that's much more power than it could block on its own normally. So interesting. 4 drops expensive, but interesting. Disruptive Stormbrood. So we've got another dragon. It is a 5-drop 3/3 with flying. When this creature enters, destroy up to 1 target enchantment or artifact. That's pretty good. And then for Petty Revenge, you've got destroy target creature with power 3 or less, which is also pretty good, especially as a 2-drop. And this being in a Golgari deck or something akin to that, this is very usable. Very, very usable, I think. You're going to ramp in green more often than not, so I could see this card being usable. Especially if you're just for example, if you're using this in a deck that plays Overlord of the Bailmark and I think that, or no, Hauntwoods. Overlord of the Hauntwoods and what's it called? Up the Beanstalk. This fits perfectly in that kind of a deck because you're ramping really quickly, can get it out as a creature to destroy artifact or enchantment, and the Omen side already gets rid of early threats for you, so I like this card a lot, actually. Unrooted Ancestors, a 3-drop 3/2 with Flash. There's a lot of Flash in this, which is pretty cool. Pay 1, sacrifice another creature. This creature gains indestructible until end of turn, but you do tap it to do that. But not terrible. Indestructible is really nice, obviously, and tokens are going to be very prominent in this set. It having flash is interesting, but I don't think is a really big selling point for this. And as a 3-drop, it's kind of expensive, so I don't know. Inspirited Vanguard's a 5-drop creature, 5-drop 3/2. When this creature enters or attacks, it endures for 2. So it creates bodies for you, at least, which is nice, too. It looks like the endure 2 means that it's a 2/2 creature instead of getting 2 1/1s, I guess. But this one actually doesn't seem that bad. It doesn't have flash or any other kind of combat shenanigans on it, but being able to create essentially, what is this even? Like a 5/6 or a 6/5, something like that, power and toughness on the battlefield for itself. That's at least worth the mana cost, I think. Jeskai Monument is a 2-drop. When this artifact enters, search your library for a basic island, mountain, or plains, reveal it, put it into your hand, then shuffle, and then you can pay 4 with the colors that you would suspect from a Jeskai Monument, sacrifice this artifact, and create 2 1/1 bird tokens with flying. I actually think the monuments, all of them, because here's Mardu Monument also, I think they're great. I think they're really good. They're only a 2 cost. They let you go fetch one of the lands that you need for the colors you're playing, and then you usually get pretty decent upside for sacrificing it later when you don't have anything else to do. That makes it worth it. So I actually really like the monuments and may end up using them. I'm not sure how, but I think they're decent. Another Vanguard. We've got Aegis Sculptor. Is a 4-drop 2/3 with flying and ward 2, which isn't terrible. The ward 2 is pretty good, but it is kind of expensive as a 4-drop. At the beginning of your upkeep, you may exile 2 cards from your graveyard. If you do, put a 1/1 counter on this creature. I think that's really good. Yeah, so overall, with its abilities and what you get from a flying ward 2 creature, very decent. Got another Outpost here, which it looks like it's one I already read. Descendant of Storms is a 1-drop 2/1. When this creature attacks, you may pay 2. If you do, it endures 1. So it can potentially get you more creatures, but the fact that you have to pay into it to get it to endure, I don't know how I feel about that. Being a 1-drop 2/1 is decent, but the extra pay-in for the endure kind of sucks. War Efforts, a 4-drop enchantment. Creatures you control get +1/+0 whenever you attack. Create a 1/1 red warrior creature token that's tapped and attacking. Sacrifice at the beginning of your end step. So this is very much in lines with a lot of those endure abilities, things like that. It does immediately give all of your creatures +1/+0, which is decent. You do sacrifice the warrior at the end of your turn. I do know there is a creature that can make it to where any of those triggers that would happen like that, you actually keep the creature, and I think it would work fantastically with Forge tokens, but regardless of all that, I don't think this is very good, in my opinion. There are better options. Dragonclaw Strike, another one of those potentially 3-drop cards, or 3-drop cards, sorry. Getting tongue-tied talking so much now. It's a sorcery, double the power and toughness of target creature you control until end of turn, and then it fights up to 1 target creature an opponent controls. So based on what it does, I think the fact that it's a sorcery is totally fine. It is a fight spell. Yeah, meaning even though you're doubling your power or toughness, you are going to have less toughness when you go into combat, unless this is your second main phase that you do this, which is potentially really, really good. Say you attack in with something, they decide not to block, then you do this. But I think your best bet is going to be on main phase 1. Do this, get your creature stronger, use it to fight a creature you don't want to be able to block, kill it, and then attack in, potentially unconfronted. That would be really good. This one seems obviously quite a bit better than some of the other ones that I've read with this type of mana cost. We've got Breaching Dragonstorm, a 5-drop enchantment. When this enchantment enters, exile cards from the top of your library until you exile a non-land card. You may cast it without paying its mana cost if that spell's mana value is 8 or less. If you don't, put that card into your hand, and when a dragon you control enters, return this enchantment to its hand. It's very expensive, especially for it to be one of those enchantments that returns to your hand for you to replay it, but its ability is insane. Like, so crazy. So I actually think this is really, really good. Like being able to get anything 8 or less, holy crap. And that potentially is a dragon, right? You go and get a dragon from the top of your library, play that dragon for free, this returns to your hand, and then you do it again on the next turn. This seems really, really good in one of those Omen Dragon decks. So yeah, this is a crazy card. Desperate Measures, 1-drop, instant. Target creature gets +1/-1 until end of turn. When it dies under your control this turn, draw 2 cards. I think this is great. This is really good. You get an interesting combat trick, and if your creature was going to die anyway, you could potentially make it to where it kills the thing it's blocking and then draw 2 cards. I think this is great. This is a really good card. Quarry Mountain Stalwart is a 3-drop 3/3 with Flurry. When you cast your second spell each turn, this creature deals 2 damage to each opponent, and you gain 2 life. I think that's fine. It's a 3-drop 3/3, which is acceptable, and the Flurry ability is good enough. So I think this is a decent card. Wingblade Disciples, 3-drop 2/2 flying with Flurry to create a 1/1 creature. At a 3-drop, I don't know about it. A 3-drop 2/2 is okay. The fact that it has flying maybe legitimizes the 3-drop. The Flurry ability creating more flying birds is okay, but they're just 1/1 birds, which I don't love. Karu Guildkeeper, interesting, is a 4-drop. Flying, whenever 1 or more cards leave your graveyard during your turn, create a treasure token. Ooh, that's interesting. And then it has a renew cost as well. Exile this card from your graveyard, put 2 1/1 counters and a flying counter on target creature, activate only as a sorcery. I think this is really good, and again, could be used absolutely in a Roots deck. Obviously, you're adding blue into your Roots deck, making it no longer Golgari, but that ability to get treasures each time, and it's 1 or more cards. It doesn't even have to be creature cards. This seems really, really good, in my opinion. This with Molt Tender really just makes this. You could just have Molt Tender, and that would be good enough for you to get this into your Golgari Roots deck without having to do much else with mana. So that's crazy. That's really good. Got another one of these black lands, which I think are really good. Songcraft Mage again. Already went over that one. Gold wild card. This one's Mistrise Village. This is the blue land. This land enters tapped unless you control a mountain or a forest. It can be tapped for blue mana, and you can pay 1 and tap it. The next spell you cast this turn can't be countered. That's really good. That's really, really good. It does require you to be playing blue, essentially, but you can make any spell on your turn uncounterable for 1, like basically paying 2 mana. That's really, really good. I like that one a lot. Hollowmark Siege. Cool. I really like these sieges, and I haven't seen this one. As this enters, choose Sultai or Abzan. Sultai, whenever a counter is put on a creature you control, draw a card. This ability triggers only once each turn, which I think is really good. You could put this in a Roots deck and not absolutely draw your entire deck out off of that ability, because it only happens once each turn. Or you have Abzan, whenever you attack, put a 1/1 counter on target attacking creature, it gains menace until end of turn. And it doesn't say that only happens once per turn. It seems like it would only happen on 1, but still, that is interesting too. I think Sultai would be what I would use, though. 2-drop, and this giving you extra cards frequently. It's interesting, though, and could be used in a Golgari deck without having to splash. Revival of Ancestors. We already looked at this one. Prenination? I don't know if I said that right. This one's a 6-cost. Return target permanent card from your graveyard to the battlefield with a hexproof counter on it and an indestructible counter on it. That is insane. It's really expensive, but it's really good too. Yeah, that's an interesting card. Because it doesn't specify mana cost or anything like that. You could easily pull something like an Atraxa or an Atali or Valgavoth, making it indestructible and hexproof. Like, this is crazy. This card's nuts. Sarkhan Dragon Ascendant. This is a really good card. I have seen it used a little bit. 2-drop 2/2 legendary creature, human druid. When Sarkhan enters, you may behold a dragon. If you do, create a treasure token. Whenever a dragon you control enters, put a 1/1 counter on Sarkhan. Until end of turn, Sarkhan becomes a dragon in addition to its other types and gains flying. So, yeah, this card's nuts. If you're playing this in a dragon deck of like any kind that runs red, this card's crazy. So, yeah, really, really good. Then we've got Tival, Arbiter of Virtue, is a 5-cost 6/6, which is good already. It is a legendary creature spirit dragon. It has flying and lifelink, which is crazy. And spells you cast have delve. Whenever you cast a spell, you lose life equal to its mana cost. That part sucks. But let's see what delve. Each card you exile from your graveyard while casting this spell pays for 1 mana. So it makes your things cheaper for the delve cost if you're able to exile the things from your graveyards. As it's delve, you don't have to exile things with like an added up mana value of whatever you're trying to cast, so that's good too. You could just exile your spare lands or whatever. But losing life equal to the mana value, that sucks. But I guess it does have flying and lifelink on itself, so that kind of makes sense. And then finally here we have Shiko, Paragon of the Way. This is another spirit dragon, a 5-cost 4/5 with flying and vigilance. When Shiko enters, exile target non-land card with mana value 3 or less from your graveyard, copy it, then you may cast the copy without paying its mana cost. That's really cool too. I don't know exactly what you would use that with, but could easily be used in a red-blue type of deck to flash back your instants and sorcery spells to cause crazy triggers on things for your second spell each turn, or what have you. This is an interesting card for sure. I like cards that say you get to do things without paying their mana value, so it's interesting. I don't know what I would do with it, but it's cool. Alright, let me take another drink of something here, and then we'll get into the next pack of 10. Open up our next 10 cards. Getting so many wild cards, which is just lovely, because I'm going to need them with this new set. Alright, we got a Jungle Hollow. Starting to get less of the lands in this bunch. That's interesting. Underfoot Underdogs. It's a Goblin card. Interesting. When this creature... It's a 3-drop 1/2, which sucks. Outright, that's not good. When this creature enters, create a 1/1 red goblin creature token. That makes up for it a little bit, because now you're getting 2/3 power instead of 1/2. And then you can pay 1 and tap. Target creature you control with power 2 or less can't be blocked this turn. So, that's interesting. I don't love it. I don't think it's great. I don't think it's going to replace anything in a goblin deck, but it's interesting. Does actually at least give you 2 bodies instead of 1. So that's good, but yeah, as a 3-cost, I don't think it's great. Riling Dawnbreaker, another Omen Dragon. This one is a 5-cost 3/4, flying, vigilance at the beginning of combat on your turn. Another target creature you control gets +1/+0 until end of turn, which I think is pretty bad. That's not a great ability. But for the Omen side, you've got Signaling Roar, 2-drop, create a 2/2 white soldier creature token. That part's not terrible. I think the dragon itself, though, is not very good. Wild Ride, 1-drop sorcery. Target creature gets +3/+0 and gains haste until end of turn. And then it has Harmonize for 5. That Harmonize cost is so expensive, but as a 1-drop, it's not bad. Disute Earthcarver? I don't know if that's pronouncing that right, but Earthcarver. I've actually seen this card getting use, so it's actually an interesting one. I've seen it being used in drafts more than anything. It is a 6-drop 4/4 with reach, and when it enters, you endure for 3, so you get a 3/3. As far as what you get out of it, it's worth the mana cost, but you're not going to be playing this early. But the reach 4/4 on its own is pretty good, and then getting a 3/3 body along with it is nice. See, got Evolving Wilds apparently got a reprint. This art looks cool though, so there's that. Heritage Reclamation. I have seen this card being used too. It's a 2-drop, destroy target artifact. Enchantment. or exile up to one target card from a graveyard, then draw. This is going to be a really good card in green, actually, because artifacts and enchantments are really annoying, and graveyard decks are really annoying. So you just throw a couple of these in your sideboard, and you're good to go. Got Dispelling Exhale. This is the Exhale that is a counter spell. 2-drop as an additional cost to cast the spell. You may behold a dragon. Counter target spell unless its controller pays 2. If the dragon was beheld, counter target spell unless its controller pays 4. So pretty good. Really just decent. It's essentially as good as any other counter unless your opponent pays 2. But then also could be even better if you have a dragon on the battlefield or in your hand. So this is probably going to be seeing quite a bit of use. If I had to guess, I would use this over quite a few other cards, honestly. We've got Adorned Crocodile. Is a 5-drop 5/3, which sounds crazy on its own. When the creature dies, create a 2/2 black zombie druid creature token. And you can renew for 1, exile this card from your graveyard, put a 1/1 counter on target creature, activate only as a sorcery. So again, a card that could absolutely be used in like a Golgari deck, a root deck, just for the benefit of getting that renew cost. You get this milled into your graveyard or something, or discarded into your graveyard, and then for 1 you get that renew value out of it. And then if you're in late game and just have a stupid amount of mana, you can just play the thing. But I don't love this one because it is so expensive, but that renew cost is really nice. Poised Practitioners, a 3-drop 2/3 with Flurry. Whenever you cast your second spell each turn, put a 1/1 counter on this creature and scry for 1. That's not bad. As a 3-drop, it's pretty acceptable. I think I would like it better as a 2-drop or something, but this one's not the worst one I've seen for sure. We've got Sibsig Appraiser, a 3-drop 2/1. When this creature enters, look at the top 2 cards of your library, put one of them into your hand and the other into your graveyard. Not bad. Could be absolutely used in a Roots deck that you're splashing blue in to help you get things into your graveyard that you want for the renew cost, things like that. As a 2/1, it's not a very particularly good creature, but the upside that you get from its ability is pretty good. We got Rebellious Strike, a 2-drop instant. Target creature gets +3/+0 until end of turn, and you draw a card. This could be good, especially where we've seen already there are a decent amount of things that, like, say they get first strike on your turn. You could use it to potentially blow out your opponent's creature that's blocking and then draw you a card. So it's not terrible, but you would want to use this primarily on something with like first strike or double strike. Wild Ride again, we already looked at that one. Molten Exhales, another one of these Behold Dragon cards, and I think all of them are pretty good, honestly. Like, I haven't disliked a single one of these Exhale cards. But you may cast the spell as though it had flash if you behold a dragon. So that's the upside of it. It's a sorcery spell, and if you have a dragon that you can behold, it becomes instant speed with flash. It deals 4 damage to target creature or planeswalker. This card's fantastic. If you're playing a dragon deck by any means, put this in it. This is good. We've got Jeskai Devotee, a 2-drop 2/2, which isn't fantastic on its own, but it does have Flurry. Whenever you cast a spell, your second spell, this creature gets +1/+1 until end of turn. I don't love that. And then you can use it to convert mana for the colors that you would need in Jeskai. Yeah, not the biggest fan of this one either. I'm not a big fan of these Devotee cards. Kintree Nurturer is a 3-drop 2/1 with lifelink, and whenever this creature enters, it endures for 1. As a 3-drop, I don't think it's very good, but lifelink is nice. Dalkovan Pack Beast is a 3-drop 0/4 with Vigilance, and it has Mobilize 3. As a 0/4, you're obviously not getting a lot of value of attacking. You get to Mobilize 3, which means you get 3 1/1 attacking red creature tokens. I don't know how I feel about this one. It's interesting. It has Vigilance, so you still get to use it as a blocker. Attacking with it, as long as your opponent doesn't have something bigger than the 4 to get rid of it, maybe it's worth it. I don't know. I have mixed feelings on this one for sure. Zergo's Vanguard is a 3-cost star and 3. Let's see, Mobilize 1, so you get the 1/1/1 red creature, and this creature's power is equal to the number of creatures you control. This thing could be silly. This thing could actually be really, really good. Because these types of decks that are playing these mobilize abilities are like super heavy on you creating a whole bunch of creature tokens to begin with, so I don't hate this one. This one I think is actually really good. Constrictor Sage is a 5-drop 4/4. When this creature enters, tap target creature an opponent controls and put a stun counter on it. And then it has a renew cost of 3. Exile this card from your graveyard, tap target creature and opponent controls and put a stun counter on it. You can only activate this as a sorcery. I think this one's too expensive. I don't like this one. Even with the renew. A renew of 3 isn't that bad, but I don't think its ability is good enough for the cost of 3 or for 5. Teeming Dragonstorm. I feel like I've seen this one. When this enchantment enters, create a 2/2 white creature token. And when a dragon enters, you return it to your hand. For a 4 cost is kind of expensive. I like the ability. I like the returning the enchantments to your hands and then replaying them to get value out of them. I like that it creates the tokens, but at a 4 cost, I think it might just be too expensive. Furious Forebear is a 2-drop 3/1. When a creature you control dies while this card is in your graveyard, you may pay 2. If you do, return this card from the graveyard to your hand. A 2-cost return from the graveyard to your hand isn't terrible. This thing only has 1 toughness, though. I don't really like it. I've seen it used in drafts and stuff, and I've seen people completely ignore it and never bring it back. It's just kind of not worth the mana that it costs to do its ability. 100 Battle Veteran. 4-drop 4/2. As long as there are 3 or more kinds of counters among creatures you control, this creature gets +2/+4. You may cast this card from your graveyard. If you do, it enters with a finality counter on it. So this could be usable in a deck that is making use of those renew abilities, because we've already seen there's like renew at a trample counter, renew at an indestructible counter, and at a flying counter, things like that. So that could feed into the multiple different types of counters that this requires. And the fact that you can play it from your graveyard with a finality counter on it is actually really good, because it plays into those kinds of root synergies that I had talked about with it. At a 4 cost, I don't know about it, but like if this card got milled in your deck and you were trying to get it back from your graveyard and make a whole bunch of stuff happen with a roots triggers and stuff, I think it's worth it. So this card could be useful. Got another monument here, which looks like there's one right here too. Like I already said, I think the monuments are all decent. I could absolutely see them being used quite a bit. Storm Beacon Blade is a 2-drop equipment artifact. It has an equip cost of 2 as well, which isn't bad. And equipped creature gets +3/+0. Whenever equipped creature attacks, draw a card if you control 3 or more attacking creatures. This could be interesting on a equipment-themed deck, which I have done before. I've done Boros equipment decks and stuff like that before, which are pretty fun. So this could see use if someone tried to play it in that sort of a deck. Encroaching Dragonstorm, this is another one of those enchantments that's whenever you play a dragon, return it to your hand. Let's see here. When this enchantment enters, search your library for up to 2 basic lands, put them on the battlefield tapped, then shuffle. That's really good for 4, because that's essentially what you would get out of a Battle of Zendikar. So this actually already is the same mana cost as Battle of Zendikar and has the exact same ability, except that whenever you play a dragon, you can return to this to your hand and then do it again. So I like this one a lot, actually. Marshal of the Lost, 4 cost 3/3. It is a Orc Warrior with Death Touch. Whenever you attack, target creature gets +X/+X till end of turn, where X is the number of attacking creatures. This seems really good. I like this one. I don't know that I have any plans to use it, but it could absolutely be used, even just in a black-white, like aristocrat deck or something along those lines, where you're getting a whole bunch of little things out on the battlefield. This could be interesting. We've got Veteran Ice Climber, Vigilance. This creature can't be blocked. Whenever this creature attacks, up to 2 target players up to 1 target player mills cards equal to this creature's power. Okay. This seems good. It's a 2-drop 1/3, which is already good. It has Vigilance, so it gets to be a blocker for you. And it can't be blocked, so you can attack with it every turn with no repercussions. The ability is not fantastic as far as the mill, but you could pump this and it still stays unblockable. So yeah, this is good. This is a really good card for blue. Kin Tree Severance is another one of these potentially 3-cost cards. It has, it's an instant, exile target permanent with mana value 3 or greater. The mana value 3 or greater actually isn't that bad, makes it worth the mana value if you're playing this for 3 or more, so this is not bad. Got Static Snare, a 5-drop enchantment that has flash. This spell costs 1 less to cast for each attacking creature. Interesting. When this enchantment enters, exile target artifact or creature an opponent controls until this enchantment leaves the battlefield. So this is almost like, what is it, Witch Stalker's Frenzy, that red instant that is like costs less for attacking creatures, deals 5 damage, only this is a enchantment that seals something away. I think this is actually pretty good. This isn't bad at all. The fact that it gets made cheaper for attacking creatures makes it very playable, and the fact that it has flash makes it like extremely playable. So this is actually a pretty good card. Fresh Start's a 2-drop flash enchantment enchant creature. Enchanted creature gets -5, -0, and loses all abilities. Not the biggest fan of this one, but it'll probably see play. People like playing these kinds of cards, but I'm just not the biggest fan of it. You still have the opposing creature on the field, and since it's an enchantment aura, it can be blown up by enchantment hate type cards, which we've seen some of already just going through these. So I think this one's a no for me. Alright, we're into the rares. We've got Sirach Elusive Hunter is a 3-drop 4/3, which is already good. This spell can't be countered, which makes it fantastic. It has Trample, which is good, and whenever a creature you control or a creature spell you control becomes the target of a spell or an ability an opponent controls, draw a card. This is good. This is a really good card. The fact that it has card draw off of any removal that your opponent might use, or any counter spells that your opponent might use, this is pretty interesting. Yeah, this card, I like this one a lot. And it can't be countered, which is always a fantastic ability to have on any card. Lotus Light Dancers is a 5-drop 3/6 with lifelink. It is a zombie bard, which is interesting. When this creature enters, search your library for a black, a green card, and a blue card. Put those cards into your graveyard, then shuffle. Again, this would be potentially really good for a Roots thematic deck that is talking about putting any of those renew cards I talked about in your graveyard. You play this, put that that crocodile in your graveyard, because that's the black card, and then you can also pick a green and a blue one. Yeah, I think black, green, and blue is going to be a really good color for combination for Roots this time around. This is very interesting. Dragonfire Blade, a 1-drop equipment, which is fantastic. Equipped creature gets +2/+2 and has hexproof from monocolored. That's a fantastic ability. This would be really good in any kind of enchantment, or not enchantment, any kind of artifact equipment type deck. And then it has an equip of 4, which is expensive, but it says this ability costs 1 less to 1 less to activate for each color of the creature it targets. So potentially this could be most likely a 3-cost equip, but you could play it with that 2-drop cat creature that enters and then automatically equips something to it, and it's a fantastic card, because turn 1 you play the Dragonfire Blade, turn 2 you play the cat, and then you've got +2/+2 on it, plus hexproof from monocolored, meaning it's going to dodge a lot of removal. So I think this is going to be very usable. Magmatic Hellkite. This is actually one of my favorite cards already from this set that I've seen. It is a 4-drop 4/5 with flying, which is fantastic. And then its ability is totally evil. Whenever this creature enters, destroy target non-basic land an opponent controls. Its controller can then, do the usual, search your library for a basic land and then put it onto the battlefield. Only with the Magmatic Hellkite, it enters the battlefield tapped with a stun counter on it. So I love this card so much. This one I will use this in very many decks if I have the ability to. So I'm super, super excited to get one because I want many. Another Kishla Village, we've looked at it. Thunder of Unity we've looked at. Hollowmark Siege we've looked at. Sinkhole Surveyor, 2-drop 1/3 with flying, and whenever this creature attacks, lose 1 life, and this creature endures for 1. I've seen this card being used, and it's really, really good. This one, especially as a 2-drop, is pretty fantastic, and you're going to see this card used a lot. I'm happy I got one. Avenger of the Fallen, a 3-drop 2/4 with Death Touch, immobilize X, where X is the number of creature cards in your graveyard. This is really good. This is, in my opinion, the new, the new Preacher. Preacher obviously still has a little bit more upside, but just like the Preacher, this is a 3-drop 2/4 with Death Touch, which is fantastic. People aren't going to want to block it for that reason on its own. And then Mobilize X for the number of creatures in your graveyard gives us a lot of versatility. A lot of versatility. Whether that be in like an aggressive Rakdos deck, or whether you're using it in like a Roots thematic deck where you're trying to get a bunch of creatures in your graveyard anyway, this is going to be an interesting card that we'll see probably fairly often. Mirang River Regent is a 6-cost 6/7, which is a lot. Flying, this creature enters, return up to 2 other target non-land permanents to their owner's hands. So this card already fits fantastically in that annoying Esper theme deck where you're doing things like this town ain't big enough, that sort of an ability. And it's just a huge creature, which is good. And then its Omen is a 4-cost, which is the most expensive Omen we've seen so far. It says draw 3 cards, then discard a card, which is really good. So despite how expensive this card is, I absolutely think it will be played, because it looks good. We've got about, what is this, 25 more packs to go through, so we're almost there. Let's go to the next 10. Both shockingly and fortunately, I am still getting plenty of new cards, even in the commons. Bloodfell Caves, the first we've seen of that. We've got Crotic Nest Guard is a 3-drop 4/4, which is good. 3-drop 4/4 with Defender is totally playable. And then for 3, this creature can attack this turn as though it didn't have Defender. I think this is a totally solid card. It's kind of expensive, but it's a 3-drop 4/4 with Defender is fine, and then if you have nothing else to do, you can attack with it. So this is decent. This is fine. Let's see. Sarkhan's Resolve, 2-drop instant. Target creature gets +3/+3 until end of turn, or destroy target creature with flying. Again, this seems like a totally viable card, especially sideboarded. This is a good sideboard card. Because, especially with all these new dragons and stuff, people are going to be playing a lot of things with flying. This is just a 2-drop kill that, or if you need to pump something that has trample or something, you can get a nice win out of it. So I see this being a fantastic sideboard card, if nothing else. Here's the Nest Guard again. We got Devoted Duelist, a 2-drop 2/1 with haste, which is okay. Flurry, whenever you cast your second spell each turn, this creature deals 1 damage to each opponent. I think that's fine. If you're playing a deck that plays Flurry, this will probably be pretty useful. It may get like 1 or 2 attacks out, but even after that, just leaving it on the battlefield to block for you, or to just deal out damage, non-combat damage for you as you play your second card each turn, I think this will see plenty of use. Focus the Mind is a 5-drop instant. The spell costs 2 less to cast if you've cast another spell this turn. That's still really expensive. It goes in with those flurry abilities, so I could see this being used, but that's still really expensive. Draw 3 cards, then discard a card. So I could see this one being used, but that's pricey. Another Sarkhan's Resolve. We've got Tempest Hawk, 3-drop 2/2 with flying, which is decent. Whenever this creature deals combat damage to a player, you may search your library for a card named Tempest Hawk, reveal it, put it into your hand, then shuffle. And you can have any number of cards named Tempest Hawk in the deck. So this is one of those gimmicky kind of cards, kind of like Heir Apparent, things like that. Someone's probably going to do it in a deck. I don't think it's worth it, though. I don't think it's good enough. You're way better off playing like Slime Against Humanity or something like that instead of this. Another Nest Guard, Sultai Devotee, 2-drop, 2-1 with Death Touch. The Death Touch makes this almost worth playing, and then you can use it as a mana converter. But overall, not the biggest fan of any of these Devotees. If you really need the mana fixing, then they're going to be good, but these Monuments, way better. Way, way better than any of those Devotees. Mammoth Bellow, this card's nutty. I've seen this used in Draft, and this thing is crazy. It is a 5-drop to create a 5/5 elephant token with a pretty restrictive mana cost, and then it's got Harmonize. The fact that the Harmonize can be used to tap for X with your creature's power, though, means that you could easily tap the elephant that you create with this to just pay another 3 to play another one. So this card's nutty. This one's actually really good. Teamer Monument, as I've said, all the monuments are really good. This one obviously creates one of those 5/5 elephants like I was just talking about. Host of the Hereafter is a 4-drop 2/2 zombie warlock. Looks like zombies are getting a lot of love on this set. This creature enters with 2/1/1 counters on it, so it comes in as a 3/3, or no, not a 3/3, as a 4/4, which is fantastic. And when this creature or another creature you control dies, if it had counters on it, put those counters on another target creature you control. This thing's fantastic. Is going to be really good in any kind of a counter deck that you're playing. I think this card's really, really good and really easy to use. Skirmish Rhinos, 3-drop 3/4 with Trample, which is pretty great. And when this creature enters, each opponent loses 2 life and you gain 2 life, which is still great. This card's going to be totally usable because it's only a 3 cost. Its mana cost is a little bit restrictive, but honestly, as a 3/4 for 3 with Trample and that ability is nuts. Yeah, this is a really, really good card. Really good uncommon. Frontier Bivouac is another tricolor land, which I do want to get a lot of these. I don't know how often I'm going to use them, but I think they're going to be necessary in these 3-color decks. Formation Breaker is a 2-drop 2/1. Creatures with power less than its... Let me see. Creatures with power less than this creature's power can't block it. So anything smaller than a 2, meaning a 1/1 or anything like that, could not block this. A 1/2, 1/3, 1/4, none of that can block it as long as it has less power than this creature. And as long as you control a creature with a counter on it, this creature gets +1/+2. Meaning, essentially, you're going to want to make this creature as big as possible, and anything smaller than it can't block it, which is pretty crazy. That's actually a really good ability. Sunset Strike Master is a 2-drop 3/1 that can be tapped for red mana. So this is a mana dork in red, which is already pretty good on its own. And then it has pay 3, tap, and sacrifice this creature. It deals 6 damage to target creature with flying. This thing's fantastic. It's a 2-drop 3/1, which isn't the greatest. I mean, it's already pretty okay. Especially if your opponent doesn't have anything to block with early. And then the fact that you can use it as a Llanowar elf, essentially, for red is really, really good on its own. And then you can sack it later when it's less useful to blow up a dragon. Yeah, I like this one a lot. And I just got 2 of them, apparently. Wayspeaker Bodyguard is a 4-drop 3/4. When this creature enters, return target non-land permanent card with mana value 2 or less from your graveyard to your hand. And it has Flurry, where you can, whenever you cast your second spell each turn, tap target creature and opponent controls. It's expensive, but it's pretty okay. Getting the mana value 2 or less thing back from your graveyard to your hand is pretty good, because if that's like a 1 or a 2-drop creature, you're more likely to be able to play it to trigger the Flurry off of this thing. Being able to tap down your opponent's stuff in favor of you being able to attack on this turn or something along those lines is pretty good. So overall, I think this card's decent, but expensive. Duty-Bound Death, I've seen this card used. It's a 2-drop instant. As an additional cost to cast a spell, you sacrifice a creature, and when you do, creatures you control gain indestructible until end of turn, and put a 1/1 counter on each creature you control. Really, really good blowout effect. This card's fantastic for when your opponent's using sweepers and you've got a big board, assuming it's not Sunfall, because obviously Sunfall will just exile everything, so you don't want to do it then. But Deadly Cover-Up, Day of Judgment, lots of those destroy board cards. You can use this, sacrifice one of your tokens, and all of a sudden you're fine. You can use it to blow out your opponent's blockers. You can use it to pump all of your attackers when you're attacking to potentially get that win. This card is crazy, will be used a lot, and I've already seen it used quite a bit. Got Essence Anchored, a 3-drop artifact. At the beginning of your upkeep, Surveil 1, which is good, actually. And you can tap it to create a 2/2 black zombie druid creature token. Activate only during your turn, and only if a card left your graveyard this turn. So that's not as good. It's okay. Could potentially be used in one of those Roots decks that I talked about where you splash blue, but I don't think it's worth it. I don't know. That Surveil 1 lets you put stuff into your graveyard. So yeah, I think that's probably what this is intended for. The Surveil lets you look at the top card of your library before you draw. You can bend something into the graveyard, and then if something has left your graveyard this turn, which can be done with Molt Tender or any number of other cards that let you do that sort of thing, including the renew abilities that we've been talking about. So this is okay. I could see this being used. It's just a little awkward. Being a 3 cost is kind of expensive, but it's definitely got value to it, I think. Let's go ahead and start checking out our rares. Glacierwood Siege is a blue-green siege. As this enchantment enters, choose Teamer or Sultai whenever you or for Teamer. Whenever you cast an instant or sorcery spell, target player mills 4 cards. Sultai, you may play lands from your graveyard. So this is interesting. And I think playing lands from your graveyard is actually a pretty good ability if you're playing a self-milled deck. So I could see this one being interesting. We've got Baron Step Siege. I love these siege cards. So the more of them I get, the better. I want to see them all. This one has Abzan. At the beginning of your end step, put a 1/1 counter on each creature you control, which is silly. Or Mardu. At the beginning of your end step, if a creature died under your control this turn, each opponent sacrifices a creature of their choice. Wow. Okay. So you attack in with your tokens. If even one of your tokens dies, then they've got to start sacking creatures. That's cool. That's really cool. We've got Sidsi Regent of the Mire, a 2-drop 1/3 zombie snake warlock, which is good. Zombies are getting a lot of love, and I think that's interesting. And this is a 1/3 for 2, which is good. Sacrifice a creature you control from tapping this with mana value X other than Sidsi. Return target creature card with mana value X +1 from your graveyard to the battlefield. Activate as a sorcery. So cool. You can sacrifice a creature with mana value X to return something from your graveyard with a mana value of X +1. So say you sacrificed a 3-drop, you could get a 4-drop from your graveyard, or any number of different things. This is a really interesting card that, again, could be played in one of these Roots types decks. Or even if not that, because you're going to mostly have token creatures, this is just a really interesting card. I could totally see it being used, and I want to see what other people come up with for this. I don't think I'm going to have anything for it, but this is really cool. Got another Sarkhan Descendant, Dragon Ascendant, so that's cool. I like him. Warden of the Grove, 3-drop 2/2. At the beginning of your end step, put a 1/1 counter on this creature, so it's going to continually grow. And whenever another non-token creature you control enters, it endures X, where X is the number of counters on this creature. Oh, that's super cool. Yeah, I like this card a lot. This is going to be really good in those types of like Hydra decks, and it's a Hydra on top of that. I didn't realize till just now. But those types of decks where you're using like Bristly Bill, Ornery Tumblewag, and stuff like that. So I like this one. That's really cool. Another Songcraft Mage. Narset Jeskai Waymasters, a 3-drop 3/4, which is good. At the beginning of your end step, you may discard your hand. If you do, draw cards equal to the number of spells you've cast this turn. Interesting. It's a little weird, but also lets you kind of reload a little bit if you're on empty, so I could see that. I could see value from that. It's just a little awkward. But even as a 3-drop 3/4, this is pretty decent. Got another one of these red monastery lands. Got another mythic wild card. And another one of these perennations. I don't know how to pronounce it, but yeah, this was an interesting and weird card too. Okay, let's get into the next set. We got just a few more to go. Another 10 and then 5 left. And it's getting quicker and quicker because I've seen more of the common and uncommons now to where I don't have to cover as many of them. Obviously, we got more of the lands here. I've got at least a couple of all of them, I think, at this point. Got Summit Intimidator is a 4-drop 4/3 with Reach. When this creature enters, target creature can't block this turn. I don't think that's very good. Not as a 4-drop, anyway. Could be interesting in Draft. I think this might be usable in Draft, but that would be about it. Piercing Exhale. I haven't seen this one yet, but I do love these Exhale cards. A 2-drop instant as an additional cost to cast this spell. You may behold a dragon. Target creature you control deals damage equal to its power to target creature or planeswalker, and if a dragon was beheld, you get to surveil too. Which is totally solid. This is still a really good card. It doesn't mean it's a fight. It means something you control deals damage to something you don't control, meaning that you can target something with Death Touch to just straight up blow up anything. Fantastic. And then you get to surveil if you had a dragon to behold, which is just good. Good added benefit for nothing. So, yeah, I love these Exhale cards. And this one's just a common. I'm going to easily use a lot of these, I'm sure. Especially as like a... What would it even be? What am I thinking of? Sideboard card, potentially. But even just main board, like, think for a second if you're playing, like, Golgari Infect or something like that, like Golgari Poison. This card's fantastic because so much Death Touches in that deck. Not to mention the Rot Priest, so you target your own creature with it, triggers the Rot Priest, gives a poison to your opponent, then you get to destroy one of your opponent's creatures because it had a Death Touch on it, potentially, most likely. Yeah, really, really, really good card. Stormshriek Feral is a 5-drop 3/3 with Flying and Haste. The Flying and Haste is good, the 3/3 for 5 is bad. Like, I'm not the hugest fan of that. It has the ability to pay 2. This creature gets +1/+0 until end of turn, so it has fire breathing, but an expensive fire breathing, so I don't like that. Flush out for 2, discard a card. If you do, draw 2 cards. Not terrible. As a 2-drop, it lets you kind of reload your hand a little bit and get rid of something like a land and draw 2 cards. So, I don't know. As an Omen Dragon, not my favorite one that I've seen, but still probably playable because the Omen's useful enough. What we got here? Gurmug Rakshasa is a 6-cost 5/5, which is kind of crazy. It is a demon, so it could fit into a demon deck, but it's kind of expensive for one. Menace, when this creature enters, target creature and opponent controls gets -2/-2 until end of turn. Creatures you control get +2. Target creature you control, not all creatures, gets +2/+2 until end of turn. I don't love it. I think it's just way too expensive mana cost for its ability. Got 2 of them, though. Here's the Corroding Dragonstorm. So we've got the black one now, and this one's only a 2-cost, which is crazy. So that's really cool. When this enchantment enters, each opponent loses 2 life, and you gain 2 life, and Surveil 2. So that's really, really powerful ability on this 2-drop enchantment to begin with. And then whenever a dragon you control enters, return this enchantment to its owner's hand. This one's going to see so much play. So much play in any kind of a dragon deck that plays black. I guarantee it, because that ability is so strong for so cheap. That alone could keep you alive through so much, just the heal or the gain and drain off of it. I love it. That one's so going to be used a lot, I'm sure of it. Frontline Rush, 2-drop instant. Create 2 1/1 red goblin creature tokens, which sounds pretty meh. Where target creature gets +X/+X until end of turn, where X is the number of creatures you control. The secondary ability is good enough. The first ability for the 2 goblins I think is kind of weak. But I don't know. This will probably see quite a bit of play in Boros type decks. I'm not a big fan of it though. I think I would do other things for sure. Got Shocking Sharpshooter. 2-drop 1/3 with Reach. Interesting. Whenever another creature you control enters, this creature deals 1 damage to target opponent. This is pretty good. I could see this being used in the type of deck where you're playing off of mobilize, stuff like that, this could totally see use. The reach makes it a decent blocker. It's a 1/3, which is a decent blocker. It's only a 2 mana cost, which isn't expensive, and the ability has really good upside. Got Sun Pearl Kill, or a Kirin, which is a 2-drop 2/1 with flash and flying. When this creature enters, return up to one other target non-land permanent you control to its owner's hand. If it was a token, draw a card. That's a weird ability. Could be a good ambush blocker for you. Could draw you cards if you just want to return a token to your hand, which would kill it, obviously. You don't get tokens back to your hand. But could just be a straight draw effect if you don't have something you want to replay. It's interesting. I could definitely see value to it, but it's a little weird. Alchemist Assistant, a 2-drop 2/1 monkey. It has lifelink and renew. Exile this card from your graveyard, put a lifelink counter on target creature, and activate only as a sorcery. I think this is another really decent renew card. And the fact that it's only a 2 cost to play to begin with means it's a decent enough card to play out, even if it's just going to die for you to get the renew cost out of it. So, another really good card. Actually, I think this one's totally decent. Got another Tri-Land. Runescale Stormbrood is a 4-drop 2/4 with flying. Whenever you cast a non-creature spell or a dragon spell, this creature gets +2/+0 until end of turn. Not terrible, actually. That one's a pretty playable dragon. And then its Omen ability is Chilling Screech. It has pay 2, counter target spell with mana value 2 or less. For being a 2 cost, that's probably pretty usable because you'll get to do that early on. So, not terrible. Not terrible at all. This is definitely a better dragon than we saw earlier. Got another one of these Breaching Dragonstorms, which I think are going to be really interesting. Starry-Eyed Skyrider is a 3-drop 1/3 with flying. Whenever this creature attacks, another target creature you control gains flying until end of turn. Attacking tokens you control have flying. This card's kind of crazy, actually, because you could put this in any kind of token-heavy deck to just all of a sudden give all of your tokens flying. I will say the new Elspeth does that way better, but this is still interesting and totally probably usable. Alright, we're to the rares again. United Battlefront is a 4-drop sorcery. Look at the top 7 cards of your library. Put up to 2 non-creature, non-land permanent cards with mana value 3 or less from among them onto the battlefield. Put the rest on the bottom of your library in a random order. So this card's weird, but it could essentially let you get cheap enchantments or artifacts, is mostly what I heard there, from your library's top 7 cards onto the battlefield for free. So it's probably usable. It's weird. It's a little awkward, but you could totally do this with some of those, what were they? Like this, not this one specifically, but these types of cards. The 2-drop black one and stuff comes to mind. Another Reagent, or Regent. Regent. It's another one of these blue ones that I think is pretty expensive. Ambling Storm Shells, 5-drop 5/9, which is good. That's actually pretty doable on its own. It's got Ward 2, which is good. Whenever this creature attacks, put 3 stun counters on it and draw 3 cards. And whenever you cast a turtle spell, untap this creature. There probably are like 3 or 4 different turtles that I can think. I know Blossoming Tortoise is still, but I don't know if that counts, because I think it's tortoise instead of turtle, but I could be wrong. I don't know. It's interesting. I look forward to what someone comes up with for this, but even as a 5-drop 5/9, that's fine. Roar of Endless Song is a 5-drop. Create a 5/5 green elephant creature token. It does this twice, and then double the power and toughness of each creature you control until end of turn. That's crazy, but yeah, not bad. Especially as a 5-drop, this could be a really good late-game bomb for you to just build your board up with big creatures before attacking. Naga Fleshcrafter is a snake shapeshifter for 4. You may have this creature enter as a copy of any creature on the battlefield. Interesting. And then it has a renew for 3. Exile this card from your graveyard. Put a 1/1 counter on target non-legendary creature you control. Each other creature you control becomes a copy of that creature until end of turn. Activate only as a sorcery. So that's silly. Just totally silly. You could turn all of your things into, like, let's just say, for example, Vein Ripper or something, and then swing in and then if any of them get blocked or anything, they all get that death trigger effect and stuff. I don't know. That's crazy. This thing's going to be nutty when it gets used. I don't know who's going to make a deck for this, but I guarantee someone will, and it'll be silly. Rare wild card. A Sibsic Ceremony. I'm glad to see this, actually, because I do want some of these. It is a 3-drop enchantment that is pretty expensive, only because it's 3 black specific, so that could make it difficult. But whenever a creature you control enters, if you cast it, destroy that creature, then create a 2/2 black zombie druid creature token. This thing is going to be fantastic in zombie decks. It's going to be fantastic in a lot of decks that I've already seen people doing in early access, where they are just playing the creatures that give value, like when they die you get a treasure token or whatever, like the Greedy Freebooter or a lot of the artifact creatures. And the fact that it reduces the mana cost means that if you're playing colorless spells, like I think Hangerback, no, maybe not. I'm not remembering exactly what any of them are called, but there's a lot of artifact creatures that have non-color specific mana, and you can play them for free because of this. So this card's really, really cool and gives good value. Windcrag Siege. This is I want some of these too. This is the most popular siege that I've seen used so far. It has a Mardu ability. If a creature attacking causes a triggered ability of a permanent you control to trigger, that ability triggers an additional time. So say you have something with Mobilize, it would trigger it twice instead of once. And then you have Jeskai at the beginning of your upkeep, create a 1/1 red goblin creature token that has lifelink and haste until end of turn. I have seen this used both for its Mardu ability and its Jeskai ability, even in the same deck. Multiple of them coming out with that same ability, and it's only a 3 cost. It's a really, really fantastic card. Really good enchantment, and probably one of the better, more seen sieges that I would say going to be more prominent. We've got Dolkovan Encampment, so with a white land is finally popping up. This land enters tapped unless you control a swamp or a mountain. It adds white mana, and you can pay 3 whenever you attack this turn. Create 2 1/1 red warrior creature tokens that are tapped and attacking that get sacrificed at the end of the turn. So this basically lets you pay 3 to trigger another Mobilize ability from the land on top of whatever Mobilize you might trigger from your other things. So this one's actually probably pretty usable as well. We've got Teamer Battlecrier, is a 3-drop 4/3 Orc Ranger. During your turn, spells you cast cost 1 less to cast for each creature you control with power 4 or greater. So that could be really interesting. It is only a 3-drop for a 4/3, which is already decent enough. And then its ability could potentially make a lot of your cards cheaper. So I could see this one being used for sure. I think these lands, these rare lands, are going to be seen almost like I can't even remember what they're called, but they were legendary lands. I don't think you'd want to reuse more than 1 or 2 of these in your deck anyway. So the fact that I've gotten like 1 of each right now is actually pretty cool, because I don't think I would run more than 2 of them. Alright, and we've got 5 packs left. Let's get the Tarkir pack first. Looks like nothing new from this pack, so nothing to really go over. Then I've got some rare packs, some golden packs to look at. Just gonna hit all of them at once. Any new dragons ones? This one's another Sage of the Skies, really cool to have. Looks like apparently I got a couple of Tristani. I may use them with stuff from this set, possibly. We've got Awaken the Honored Dead. We didn't get this one, and this is a new dragon one. Destroy target non-land permanent, mill 3 cards, and you may discard a card when you do. Return target creature or land card from your graveyard to your hand. Interesting. I don't love this one as much, but it seems to fit those colors. I could see maybe running it as a one-of in like a Roots deck that's playing blue now. So that's interesting. What else we get? Could just open all these, but since I'm getting stuff that's not all specifically dragons, figured I'd take a look. Let's see, so we got some Aether Drift stuff here. We got another Shiko and another Lotus Light Dancers. Okay, so we got some new stuff here. We've got Quarzy Revenant, which is a 3-drop 3/3 with Flying, Death Touch, and Lifelink, which I think is pretty fantastic, actually. It's a vampire, too, which I absolutely adore vampires. And it's a renew card, so it has exile this card from your graveyard, put a flying counter, a death touch counter, and a lifelink counter on target creature, and activate only as a sorcery. I love this card, and we'll probably get more of them even if they're not very good. But I think it's really good, even just looking at it. Flying, death touch, lifelink on a single creature is always really nice. I've always enjoyed Vampire Nighthawk for having those abilities. And it is also a 3-cost vampire, if I'm not mistaken, but it's only a 2/3. And the renew ability on this is fantastic, putting that on something else. So I will probably craft a few more of these. That's cool. And then we got, okay, that's not from the new set. This is a Dragon's card. Baitor Kin to All is a 5-drop Spirit Dragon, 5/7. Totally seems fine on its own. Has flying, obviously, at the beginning of your end step. If creatures you control have total toughness 10 or greater, draw a card. Then if creatures you control have total toughness 20 or greater, untap each creature you control. Then if creatures you control have total toughness 40 or greater, each opponent loses half their life rounded up. This thing seems absolutely silly, and I could see that being really hard to have like the 40 or greater toughness potentially, but yeah, this card seems silly and fun. This one's really interesting. One pack left. See what we get when we finish this off. Alright, so I did get another Revenant, which is awesome. We got Voice of Victory. This card has been seeing use too, so it's pretty good. It's a 2-drop 1/3 with Mobilize 2, and your opponents can't cast spells during your turn, which is really, really nice. Meaning, essentially, that means that you can't be countered, because counter spells have to be done in response to your stuff, so if you do it on, they can't counter your spells on your turn, they can't use kill spells on your turn, they can't use draw cards on your turn. It's really, really, really nice. And then we've got Scavenger Regent. Okay. Is a 4-drop 4/4 flying ward, discard a card. All really good already on its own at base. And then it's pay 2 and X. Each non-dragon creature gets -X/-X until end of turn. And that's the Exude Toxin Omen card. This is probably the most popular Omen card that I have seen. It is a really fantastic board wipe. It doesn't hit dragons, but if you're playing a dragon Omen deck, this is a fantastic option for a board wipe for you, and especially with how many token decks people are going to be running between the Mardu and Jeskai stuff. So, good card. Definitely will be getting more of it if I can too. But anything, if nothing else, I'm really happy I got another one of these Revenants as well. Anyway, that is all the cards. I hope you guys enjoyed looking at them with me. I hope maybe some of my thoughts on the cards were insightful to some of you. But thank you for joining me, and I hope you enjoyed this.